February 5th, 1637, Alkmaar, Holland. A packed auction hall, 70 tulip bulbs, and the strangest fortune in Europe. The sellers are 7 children, orphans. Their father died last summer, and these flowers are nearly everything he left them. The bidding opens and the room loses its mind. Merchants shout over each other for bulbs still asleep in winter soil. One bulb sells for 5,200 guilders, the price of a fine Amsterdam house for something smaller than your fist. By nightfall, the orphans hold 90,000 guilders, 300 years of a craftsman's wages converted into flowers in one afternoon. But nobody in that room knows the truth yet. The market they are pouring their fortunes into is already dead. It had died 2 days earlier, 20 miles away in Haarlem, not with a crash, but with silence. This is Tulipmania, history's first financial bubble. You think you know this story, almost everything you know is wrong. This episode we introduce the collapse pattern, 5 stages every dying system moves through. You will see it in every autopsy. Overextension, fragility, shock, cascade, amnesia. Watch for all 5 tonight, because the last one hides the deepest. The tulip is not Dutch at all. It came from the Ottoman court to Vienna in 1554. In 1593, the botanist Clusius planted a few bulbs at Leiden. Next spring, Holland's first tulip opened. The timing was perfect. The Dutch Republic was filling with newly rich merchants, and rich men need something rare. Here is the terrible secret. The most precious tulips, white petals flamed with crimson, were sick. A virus painted those flames. The same virus crippled each bulb's power to multiply. The disease created beauty and scarcity in one stroke. The finest bulb, Semper Augustus, was quoted at 10,000 guilders. A skilled craftsman earned 300 a year. Stage 1, overextension, a system stretching far beyond what it can deliver. Watch the flowers turn into paper. Bulbs sit underground most of the year, so winter buyers bought promises, contracts for delivery in spring. Then the promises became the product, resold from tavern to tavern. The Dutch called it wind handle, the wind trade. By November 1636, even common bulbs caught fire. Some prices multiplied 12-fold in barely 2 months. Stage 2, fragility. Look what this market was actually made of. Not gold, not goods, not even flowers. No exchange, no collateral, no deposits. Just handshakes in smoky taverns, sealed with a fee called wine money. Nobody paid cash, nobody delivered a bulb. Every payment waited for spring, stacked on a stranger's future solvency. One contract could pass through 5 pairs of hands, each buyer paying more, each betting a richer fool stood behind him. The numbers stopped meaning anything. By 1635, 40 bulbs changed hands for 100,000 guilders. On paper, the whole tower stood on one foundation. Everybody believed everybody else would pay when spring came. Sound familiar? Rome's denarius died of the same disease. Value is a story everyone keeps telling until someone stops. But this was promises stacked on promises in the dead of January. Nothing could be delivered or inspected for months. A market like that does not need a war to kill it, or a famine, or a plague. It only needs one crowded room, one auctioneer, and one moment of doubt. Remember that silence in Haarlem? Here it comes. Stage 3, shock. Haarlem, February 3rd, 1637. An ordinary tavern auction at the peak of the boom. The auctioneer opens the bidding on bulbs that sold for fortunes just yesterday. Nobody raises a hand. He lowers the price. Silence. He lowers it again. More silence. In a market made of belief, silence is death. Because if one room stops believing, why should the next room believe? Or the next city? Or anyone ever again? Stage 4, Cascade. Doubt spread along the canals faster than fire. Every trader asked one terrified question: who buys mine? Within days, buyers vanished across the country. February 5th saw the bubble's last recorded sales, 98 of them. That was Alkmaar's day. The Orphans' triumph was the mania's final blaze, record bids echoing through a market already dead. The growers rushed into emergency assemblies, hunting for a compromise. Their offer: cancel the newest contracts for 10%. The courts wanted nothing to do with it. They ruled tulip contracts gambling debts, not the law's problem. Haarlem let buyers walk away for 3.5%. Most contracts were simply never honored at all. Now the autopsy question this channel exists to ask: who was actually ruined? Historians went into the archives to count. The historian Goldgar spent years in those records, hunting the famous victims. She found no bankruptcy from tulips, not one. She found something stranger. Only 37 people in the entire archive ever paid more than 300 guilders, and the traders were wealthy merchants and master craftsmen who could absorb the loss. Not chimney sweeps, not servants. No money had actually moved. February's catastrophic losses existed only on paper. The Dutch economy barely flinched. So if the bubble ruined almost nobody, what did it actually destroy? Two things. The first was trust. Dutch commerce ran on honor. A man's word was collateral. That winter, thousands refused to pay their neighbors. The second casualty took longer to die, and its death is the strangest part. The second casualty was the truth. Moralist pamphlets invented cautionary tales. A sailor jailed for eating a bulb. Fortunes drowned in canals. A nation gone mad. Then in 1841, Charles Mackay published those satires as history. His cartoon became the world's memory. Stage 5, Amnesia. Here is what makes Tulipmania unique. The final stage has now lasted 400 years. We remember a fairy tale about foolish people, and we feel superior. Feeling superior, we forget the mechanism. Score it on the pattern. Overextension, flowers became paper. Fragility, a market built entirely out of personal trust. Shock, one silent auction room. Cascade, a country's buyers gone in a week. Amnesia, 4 centuries and counting. Judge it by its ruin, tiny. Judge it as a blueprint, the most important crash in history. Every bubble since has followed the same 5 stages. 1720, 1929, .com, crypto, the next one, forming somewhere. And at every peak, somebody laughs and says, relax, at least it is not tulips. That laughter is the amnesia talking. The real lesson was never about flowers or fools. Every market is in the end made of belief. And belief is like the tulip's flames, most beautiful, most valuable, and most contagious where it is most infected. Next time, the bridges, dams, and machines their builders swore could never fail, and the moment each one did. Next Sunday.